in Barrie, Simcoe County area. Looking forward to doing this show with you today, everybody. We are hosting Canadian Mortgage Weekly, episode number 5. It's actually quite a big milestone for Sam and I here today because it's we've gone through and we're doing these episodes every Wednesday now at 10:30. And Sam, they've been pretty fun. And we've been doing these episodes now. We've gone through a whole month. We've had some really awesome guests on our show as well. Sam is a mortgage agent with us here in Barrie, Simcoe County, Aurelia. He's been with the Mega Mortgage team now for about a year. He married also last year, he's great working with our first-time home buyer clients and all that. So Sam, welcome today.
Thanks for having me, Joe. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Again, as Joe was saying, we've really enjoyed being able to put these videos on. We think we're, making some pretty good content. And like Joe was saying, we have started to implement a really cool lineup of some real estate agents and sort of guest speakers. So again, thanks for having me on, Joe.
Oh, my pleasure. And it's always good to have you on as well, Sam. I hope that we can chat today a little bit about what's going on. I know that it's February now, and with the mortgage market the way it's been, it's really felt like April. I mean, it's been pretty busy, hasn't it, Sam?
Yeah, it definitely has.
All right. Awesome. Well, I'm really excited because today on our show, Sam and I will be talking about some industry news of what's going on, some market updates as well. And when we get through that, we'll be moving on and getting Nickey Calford, real estate broker out of London, Ontario, who's part of the Keller Williams Group, and as well as an MRN investment group as well in Hamilton, Niagara region. So she's got a lot of experience. And Sam, we've been dealing with Nickey for a while, so it's going to be great to have her on the show.
Yeah, that's right. We've done quite a few webinars with Nickey over the last, my last year being part of the team. I think we've done a good number together, and it's always a pleasure working with her.
Yeah, she's a great agent, and it's going to be great to have her on the show a little later. So, but speaking about the London market, we've been doing these webinars in the London market specifically. And before COVID, we were doing seminars actually in person in London, which was great too. But we've seen the London market kind of explode, haven't we?
Yeah, it has been quite busy. I know that, even myself working with many first-time buyers, primarily from the webinars that we've been doing, have been able to purchase in the London area alone.
Awesome. And you know what? Before we continue, I'm thinking we should tell everyone about how they can win a $25 gift card.
Absolutely, yes. So if you have tuned into our weekly videos before, this shouldn't be news to you. But at the end of our video, we do a draw for a $25 Skip the Dishes e-gift card. So you can either be entered in the contest by commenting or sharing the video only. And of course, if you were somebody who liked, shared, or commented in the previous 6 days since our last episode, we will be doing a draw at the very end. Joe's got his snare there, ready to go for the drum roll. So again, stay tuned for that if you liked, commented, or shared on our previous video.
Oh, that's awesome, Sam. Yeah, I'm so excited to actually play this snare drum. I love playing drums. So anytime I get to play drums, especially at work, bang on the drums all day is all the way. But really, getting back to the mortgage side of things, because we're pretty passionate about that here. We had a lot of success in London last year, and going into this year, we're seeing quite a busy market. And I'm thinking that it'd be great to get Nickey's opinion on what's going on, what's happened in the London market, the Woodstock market, St. Thomas, that whole area. But just from our perspective, we've seen a lot of people that did buy in 2020, they have done really well. And, it's really good to see our clients do that well. Before we keep going, if you guys are from London, or if anyone is in the London area, Woodstock area, St. Thomas area, or even around or anywhere in Ontario, please comment below with any questions you have. Sam and I will be answering questions live. We are We have our chat windows open today. So we're really looking forward to answering your questions live. If there's any questions, they will also be entered into our draw as well, since they qualify as a comment.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's great. So with London, I know that it's been a great market for first-time home buyers for the last 5-6 years, because prices have remained pretty low. I think that is up until last year almost, haven't they?
Yeah, it's been quite low, and we've actually seen some pretty good success using the first-time home buyer incentive. I know that earlier in the summer I had some clients that were able to actually use that incentive to get into their first home, which we always like to see, that system being taken advantage of.
That's right. Yeah. So that incentive provided those clients with 5% extra down payment, right?
Yeah, it does. So yeah, if you're not familiar with the first-time buyer incentive, it's a shared equity loan through the government, which helps you to lower your monthly mortgage payments without having to increase your down payment. So it's a really good system, especially in sort of the COVID season where finances could be tight. Saving on those monthly payments can be huge for some people.
Yeah. We're seeing that a lot right now during COVID. There's folks that haven't done so well and are struggling financially, and they're in a situation where they need to lower their monthly payments. So, just getting into a home, being able to save some equity by paying your mortgage down, and also having that shared equity mortgage with, the government to help reduce your payments, that works out pretty well.
Yeah.
So there was another client that we worked with there, Sam. They got a cashback mortgage, right?
Yes, they did. So that's also something that we can set up with some of our lenders. And how it works is by taking a slightly higher rate, you actually get a cashback percentage of your mortgage, which again is really good for quite a few reasons. Because again, it's just adding funds that you can use that don't come directly out of pocket.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really good. And those funds, they can be used for things like closing costs. You can pay out a credit card at closing if you wanted to, maybe pay for some custom curtains and blinds for your new home. I know they can be pretty pricey at times.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember when I moved into my house with my wife Melissa, we had no curtains or blinds on the windows. So I remember spending quite a lot of time and money getting that all set up. Yeah.
There's definitely lots of hidden costs and things that you didn't necessarily know you needed until you get in and realize that you don't have them.
Exactly. Well, that's what we're here for. So if anyone ever wants to get started with buying a home or getting pre-approved or just seeing what those costs are and you don't know where to begin, definitely contact Sam or myself to get that started, and we can show you exactly what's required and what the process looks like. Yeah. Awesome. Great. Well, I think in a moment we'll have Nickey joining us here, and Nickey is going to give us some great feedback on the real estate market. I'm from London originally, so it's good to be able to also talk a little bit about the London market, because growing up in London and going to a school in London and high school in London, it was kind of neat seeing the real estate prices when I was a kid. I remember houses there on my street used to cost between 100 and 200,000 when I was a kid, and they just kind of hung around that area all my life, but now it's totally different. Yeah.
Well, I think she's on, so I'll just let her in and then we can start chatting with her.
Great stuff, Sam. Thanks very much. And as we bring Nickey on, let me introduce her. Nickey is a real estate broker with Keller Williams in London, Ontario. Hey, Nickey, we've been dealing real estate together for quite a few years now, working together with a lot of first-time home buyers. She's wonderful at keeping in touch with people. She's really responsive, which is really key in this industry, because when you're working with someone with regards to real estate, you want to make sure that you have someone that is available to talk to you and can be responsive and ready to go when you're ready to go. And that's what Nickey has been doing for years and years consistently. So Nickey, welcome to our show today. How are you?
Great. Thanks, guys. This is super exciting.
Awesome. Yeah, it's exciting too. We've been doing these live shows now every week for a month now. We just celebrated our 1 month anniversary, I guess you could say.
Awesome.
So thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about what you've been up to lately.
Well, the market here is lots of fun.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff going on, crazy bidding wars, all sorts of things like that. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. I'm really glad to hear that. And with Nickey, she's been fantastic with helping our clients to get into a home. And I know that that having her as part of our team here has been fantastic because she's able to help our clients get into a home, and she's actually made a lot of our clients like more wealthy in terms of owning real estate now too, which is really awesome. I had a couple questions for you actually. Do you have any stats for the London market from last year, and can you share those with us? Because I would love to hear about those, being from London and all.
Yeah. Okay. So I would love to go over the stats from last year, but I've basically just kind of taken a look at it. We take a look at the comparables that are out there and we just rip them up and throw them out, because what is happening in the market right now is crazy. We're seeing things go up, and I would hazard a guess probably about 20 to 30% in the last month.
Wow.
So not just year over year, I would say in the last month, we are seeing things, and I have a great example. So clients bought an awesome condo in a complex. I'll leave it unnamed.
Okay.
So they bought one. It was listed for $329. Bought it. Haven't even closed on it just yet. We have since gone and found them another property that was listed, and they pulled it off the market. So we went to that off-market property and said, hey, we'll give you this. They said, well, we want this now, which was $375. Like I said, okay, we'll take it. Perfect. So we had a listing, my own listing in the same complex. So this is number 3 in there, listed at $379. Decent unit, has a nice second full bathroom in the basement. It sells last night for substantially higher, like
wow,
well over 100,000 higher.
Wow.
So my client that bought these other 2 properties off market has already made close to 200,000 on the one and well over 100,000 on the other. Hasn't even closed on either one of them yet, but that's what the market is doing.
Wow.
So we can find clients things off market right now is key. Even going in a little bit higher than what the seller thinks it's worth is still a lot less than what it does when it goes in on the market.
Interesting. So that's quite a big increase to what the list price is. So how can people like look at listings, and how can they know what they can afford and what to pass on at this point?
Yeah, so basically it's a lot of gut feel. So we watch the market every day. We watch what things are selling for. We watch at what quality of the house it is. It's not about what the others in that complex have sold for anymore. It's not even what, it's now what is it sold across London. So in this area, it went for this last night. This next one is the comparable, even though it's 20 minutes away the other side of the city.
Wow. So I would think that, it's probably really frustrating for buyers right now, because maybe they feel like they can afford a $500,000 home, and you take them out and see maybe a 450 home, thinking that no problem, we'll be able to get this. And then you put the offer in. And so what are those houses selling for right now?
So if it's 350, we're kind of looking at over 5, or around the 5 mark.
Wow.
Right now, the 450s are looking at 650 price points. And you have to kind of take a look back. Yes, that's 200,000 over asking, but if I know our budget's 650, 660, we're going to go back because they are pricing it where the comparables are.
Yeah.
But we know, we're getting 10, 20 offers on properties, and the end point is in this range. So what I've been
Wow.
doing is just going back to the sales and going, okay, well, this one is here. This is where these sales were in that upper price point. Where does this house fit in condition and location wise versus these ones? And that's what we have to go with as our gut feel. We can't really go with comparables of in that subdivision or even within a kilometer radius. We have to kind of look at everything, and they have to be super recent sales.
Wow. Wow. I mean, it may not be good for our typical first-time home buyers, Nickey, but this presents a fantastic opportunity for anybody wanting to move up right now or cash in.
Yeah.
Like I could see a lot of our clients that did buy their first home with us contacting you now and selling their home. And because mortgage rates are theoretically lower now than when they first bought, some bought at 2.9%, and now we're at way under 2% for the best credit. You could be looking at payments that are virtually the same on the new upgraded house, with the interest rates being lower and the amount of cash you can obtain for them on the sale.
Well, and I have a client right now that's doing exactly that. She's
Okay.
looking, so we've kind of priced out her unit, and every couple of weeks I call her back and say, okay, we're up a little bit more. We're up a little bit more. Right.
Yeah.
But we try and find something that, she's looking to move a little bit further out of town. She
Yeah.
wants a little bit a house instead of the condo that she has. But I remember when we bought that condo, we were in a bidding war, and she's like, oh my gosh, I think I overpaid. I think I overpaid.
Yeah.
And of course, as an agent, you're like, well, how do I justify this, right? You want to make sure we're on mark. We don't ever want our clients to overpay for things. But 3 months later, another one sold in the complex for another $20,000 more.
Oh,
And
that's good news.
then fast forward 2 years, she's now 150,000 over what she's paid for it. That's before it goes into a bidding war.
Wow.
So she'll be able to take that equity and put it into the next property, and with the lower interest rates, probably have the same or less payments,
Mm-hmm.
a full house outside of town. So it's really key, even though we think that we're maybe paying a little bit too much right now.
Yep.
Where are we in 5 years from now? We're going to be higher, right? Like if we watch consistently, property values have gone up forever and ever. There's blips just like any, system or the stock market or anything else. It just means you may have to hold on to it for an extra couple years till it corrects itself.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I agree. Yeah, we had we had someone else on our show a few weeks ago when they were chatting about the 2016, 2017 market and how people then thought they way overpaid.
Yeah.
Because we did see a slight softening in certain areas, but then after, and now especially, those folks that bought at the highest peak in that market have made like 5 to 6 figures at this point.
Yeah. So there's a saying that says the best time to buy real estate was always 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Second best time was 5 years ago. The third best time is today, right? Like you need to get in the market. That's the key.
Mm-hmm. I'm hearing a lot about that these days. So I'm glad that, we can have an expert like you on to talk about this, because, when people ask me this question, where the market is going, I can only really speak so much about it, but you're on the ground floor and you're right locally there in London, Ontario. So like just hearing it from you, it's awesome. And thank you for sharing that information.
No problem.
Yeah. While we still have Nickey on, if there's anybody watching, please give your questions. Anyone from the London area, Woodstock, St. Thomas, Exeter.
Yeah. All the way around. Strathroy, you betcha.
take your questions. And Sam, could you remind everyone as to what happens if they comment or share?
Absolutely, yeah. So if you do comment or share this video, your name's actually going to be entered in a draw, which we will do next week on our video, which gives you a chance to win a $25 e-gift card with Skip the Dishes. So again, it's a 2-for-1 special this week because you get to ask Nickey a question, plus it also counts as an entry. So if you have any questions, definitely drop them on the chat. Awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Sam. And Nickey, I'm thinking, like, as Sam gets those questions there, you know, it's weird. Like, we haven't really done these seminars now in a little while in person, but they were great. I think that now the opportunity, though, doesn't really lie with the first-time home buyers, but it really lies for those folks that are looking to move up, like you just discussed, right? Anyone that is looking to kind of see where they're at now, and move to that next level, they can get a lot of money for their first home because those are the most in demand. And then we can get them to move up to their forever home, wherever they want to go.
Well, I think, Joe, we have to kind of take a look at it differently for first-time home buyers now. It's not that it's completely out of the market. We just have to find a different solution, right? Like we actually have mutual clients right now that it's kind of a blended family. So mom was looking at downsizing. First-time home buyers were looking at getting into the market. Both parties were kind of priced out of the market when they were trying to do it separately. And this week we ended up getting them a house that has room for mom with a nice bright basement apartment, nice big backyard, and lots of space upstairs for the first-time home buyer couple. So it worked out really well. They were able to maximize both of, you know, funds that they had and still get into the market, right?
Yeah.
So
that was
looking at different solutions.
That was a really creative solution. And, you know, it's fantastic to have a solution like that. And for folks to think of that as being an option, because I know some people don't want to live together with other families, but in this case it really worked out, and it's going to benefit them huge with the fact that they can own the real estate now. And with the low interest rates, a lot of that money, even the first few payments, will be going straight on their principal, so they'll be paying it right down as well.
Yeah, and those are kind of the solutions we need to find. So whether it's, you know, friends living together for a set amount of time, like 2 or 3 years, and getting enough equity built up in a property that then they can either, you know, rent it out and pull their equity out, or or each move their separate ways, right? Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. That's awesome. So do we have any questions, Sam? I just wanted to check there, see if we have anything.
We do have a comment from Alex, who's saying he'd love to sell, but doesn't think it's a wise idea given the way the prices are to rebuy. Nickey, as the expert, what would you say to that?
Yeah, so we actually are looking at buying, as long as the market, we're seeing it continuing to go up. We would want to price the house, figure out worst case scenario, this is where we think the house would be, take that money and go buy something. We know in this market, we'll be able to sell that house. That's not a question. We have less than 255 houses on the market in all of London right now in all price points. So there's very low inventory. But what we'll do is go find you a property, and whether that's off market, whether it's a new build that maybe isn't going to be built for, you know, 1.5 to 2 years, you're going to buy that in today's value, right? And then we're going to sell your house closer to that closing date. So whether that closing date is 6 months out or a year or whatever else, we're going to sell your house in the future value. And hopefully it's gone up by time we need to sell your house. So it's kind of a win-win if you're willing to go and do that, and we find you a property to buy ahead of time.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. And yeah, getting all that lined up is key. I know that the longer you would wait to line up that second property, you're missing out on that appreciation, because even waiting a month or two can cost 5, 10,000 these days.
Or
Yeah.
100,000.
Any other questions there, Sam? That was a good one. Oh yeah. Or 100,000, as we've seen in some cases.
Yeah.
Some cases there. Any other questions there that we can go over?
I think that was it from the chat, but I know that I have had a few questions before, which I think Nickey could maybe speak on, of just what can buyers expect when they're looking at houses in COVID? I know that earlier in 2020, it was FaceTime walkthroughs of the houses, but just it still is a recurring question, right, as the COVID scenario keeps going. So what can buyers expect for that?
Yeah, so that's a great question because it has changed a little and everything else. We do sign a form, like a COVID disclosure form for everyone that's involved. So whether it's a seller or a buyer, before you go through a property, we make sure that we've asked all those questions. We do a lot of the 3D tours. So the really nice thing, we call it Matterport. That Matterport tour, we can actually do measurements to see if your couch is going to fit, or how high the window is from the floor. Those sort of things are actually in that Matterport. It is that detailed. So people can walk through, can kind of get a feel for it. If they really like it and they've gone through the pictures and everything else, then we can actually schedule a showing. We can only have the decision makers go through the property. So that's usually the agent and the maximum of 2 people that are actually going to be on the purchase. And then we go through the property, masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, and try not to touch anything while we're there. But otherwise, it's pretty back to a good rhythm of being able to show things that are of really good interest.
I'm glad that it's that you guys can show property again, and that there's the steps obviously you need to follow, but just to see a house, that is huge. To feel that when you walk in that it's the right house for you. You can't really replace that with a FaceTime tour, but that's good. Speaking of decision makers, I find sometimes the decision makers aren't the adults though. Can they be the 5-year-old kid that needs this as his room or her room? No, not so much, eh?
No, we try. Sometimes what I've had to do is if, mom and dad have to bring the kids because they can't get a babysitter, which has been another challenge with COVID. So what we'll do is we'll have the kids on an iPad in the car and one parent will go in and then we swap out and the other parent will go through quickly as well. And then we can kind of chat about the whole property together.
Oh, that makes sense. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much. If there's no other questions there, Sam, Nickey, thanks so much for joining us today. It's been awesome to have you on today and kind of give everyone a perspective on the London market, get to know you a little bit as well. How can people get in touch with you? How can they reach you?
Yeah, so you can get a hold of me at Nickey Calford at kw.com by email, or you can give me a call at 519-636-5097. Of course, you can text that number as well. That's always the quickest response. But yeah.
That's great. And yeah, speaking of quick response, you've always been very good at getting back to our clients. So I know I say it a lot of times, but I appreciate that very much. So if anyone's out there looking for an agent that is responsive, and please give Nickey a call because she has done great work for our clients in London, Ontario, and the surrounding area.
Yeah, well, you know what? I absolutely love working with you guys too, because I can trust when the numbers are there, and we're good to go.
Awesome. Thanks very much there, Nickey. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk to you later, possibly.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate that. Managing the questions and all that there. And Nickey, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for being part of the show today. I hope that that if anyone has any other questions, that you can just leave them in the chat box below. We'll answer them live as we wrap up today's session. And if you do have any if you do want to win that gift card, the $25 gift card, I know Sam has said it already a few times, but I'll say it again, is just comment or share the post anytime today or the following 6 days, and we'll enter you into that draw. And speaking of the draw, Sam, we have a few names from last week. It's been getting a lot more traction every week.
Yeah, that's right. We do have quite a few names. So the competition is high this week. It's a good idea to, stay up on commenting each week to keep getting your name in the draw.
Right on. So what I'll do here is I'll grab the Black Beauty and we'll do a snare drum roll.
Sounds good.
All right. So let's see here. We got a Black Beauty with the EC Reserve dot head on it. Not too fond of this head, to be honest there, Sam. It's I put this on here. It's kind of dampening, but it takes away some of that nice sound the Black Beauty has. But anyway, that's unrelated to mortgage talk. But if anyone has a question about the snare drum or has any comments of what skin I could have on here that would give a better sound, that would count for an entry too.
That's right.
Because it's very useful. Anyway, so let's do the drum roll and then we'll get the winner going. Okay.
Sounds good. And the winner is David Bezer.
All right, David. Woo! Awesome. Woo! I need to bring some cymbals in for the celebration.
I was thinking, or like some confetti or something.
Yeah. Thanks, David, for liking or commenting or sharing last week. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. And also thanks for all of you watching. All of you who tune into our show every week. All of you have been guests on our show. Maybe we can name some of our guests. Thanks for Andrew, real estate agent out of Durham, Mary Ralston, real estate agent out of the Waterloo, Kitchener, Cambridge area. And thanks again for Nickey today joining us from the London, St. Thomas, Woodstock area. Hopefully next week you can join us. We'll be back on at 10:30, won't we, Sam?
Yes, we will. Every Wednesday at 10:30, and definitely stay tuned because we have some exciting guests lined up for future videos. So definitely stay tuned to check in who we get on the show.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody. I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you all